Hi, I'm Bob here, and I'm in front of my house here in Cambridge, Ontario, which is about 60, 70 miles west of Toronto in southwestern Ontario. And I want to call this video Home Sweet Home, or something like maybe being healthy at home, or it's all about being healthy. And that's a big, big topic. It's not just about me and my body and my family and their bodies, but it's about um, just everything that I do. I want to save the world at the same time. So it's really quite complicated. But anyway, I'm in front of my house here. My house, I want you to have a good look. Notice the details. In other words, notice the number of trees, and do I have grass, and what about the rocks, and do I have perennials, and do I have solar lights, and what do I have here? And the house is 37 years old. And when it was brand new. When I purchased the house, of course, the builder said, you can have sod, or what would you like? It was just dirt, right? And I said, no, no, I'll have grass. So the grass, the sod was installed with the brand new house, and we moved in. And so it wasn't long when as the couple of years went by, when I noticed that the grass was in the springtime, when I was sort of raking and getting it ready, the grass was coming out. It was turning brown, and it was just what a mess it was, and it looked awful. And I thought, I don't know what. I've never really had a house with grass before. I was always in an apartment, so I thought, I don't know. So I'll call a garden company or a landscape company, and they came and they said, oh, if you want to keep grass green, you have to give it lots of water, and you got to fertilize it and with chemicals to kill all the bugs and the weeds. And I thought, oh. So I said to my wife, what do you think? And she said, we're not doing that. We're saving water, and we want to live a long time, so we don't want to spray chemicals. So we're not doing that. Let's figure out another way. So I looked up an environmental lady in the area, and I asked her to come down and look, and she said, well, it's simple. You can, uh, first of all, so you don't have to water it to death. You can mix the grass, and she suggested I get ryegrass, because ryegrass grows really quickly and it stands up nice and tall. And then mix it with clover. So if you look down here, this is clover, this stuff here. And a lot of people have clover and they don't even want clover. Here's a clover flower, right? And it grows like it's a perennial, of course, and it grows like mad. And it's mixed in with the grass seed, and the clover holds water. So when it rains, um, the grass stays really, really green because of the clover. And the clover will keep the weeds out and smother them. And voila, I've solved my problem. So that's what we did. And you can see there's clover everywhere. But then I thought, I still have to cut it. So I have to use, like, gas and stuff with my gas lawnmower. I got to do a lot of work to keep the lawn. That's not going to work either. And somebody said, well, why don't you plant perennials? And I thought, perennials? I don't even know what a perennial is. When you're living in an apartment, you don't know what a perennial is. And I wasn't um, too swift when it came to this kind of stuff. So I thought, perennials, what are they? So I investigated, and I thought, oh, these are flowers that grow and die in the winter and grow again. And you don't have to replant them or anything. You can move them around and do whatever you want to do with your yard. I thought that's really good too. And then I had rocks. I've always liked rocks. Why don't I get rocks? So then we've got the red rocks here, the large ones. We've got small ones underneath in various spots. We've got this kind of rock here is kind of, they called it a beach rock. We've got the little pea gravel around the back you're going to see. So I thought, okay, so voila, this is what happened. I also put rocks right on the boulevard here. This boulevards belong to the city. They don't care as long as you don't go crazy. So I have boulevards there. So I made a little path and planted trees and tons of trees. And I didn't just plant any tree. Like, for example, this is a white pine tree, which is very common in this area. And the white pine tree gives off a chemical that will help keep the cancer cells that are dormant in everyone's body under control, so they don't go wild. You just have to come near the white pine tree. You don't have to hold it. You don't have to stroke it. You don't have to rub it on your body. You just have to be close to it a few times a week. And I'm always out in my yard, so I'm always close to the white pine tree. So I don't just plant trees for the sake of planting trees. I plant trees that are hardy and that do something for me to keep me healthy. So anyway, let's go up the path here. Whoop. I look for everything. If I don't want the thing on my property like a piece of plastic, I pick it up. So I've got all kinds of things going on here. I could spend all day telling you about every one of them. Like euonymus plants, there's different kinds of euonymus plants. That's a euonymus plant. That's a euonymus plant. They look differently. There's one around the back that looks different. They're really, really beautiful and they grow really quickly and you can put them anywhere and you can trim them. So you can notice the little pea gravel here, or the little red rock compared to the big red rock. Stones are very kind. And a lot of the big ornamental stones like this, these here that line the pathway, I collect rocks. Everywhere I go, if I'm not on private property, I bring home rocks. So I've got a lot of rocks. I also buy rocks. So this one here, for example, is a giant rock that, yes, it's called a radical, and it's made out of limestone, and it's that big because it was exposed when the glaciers years and years and years ago came through this part of North America. So you can buy those at nurseries in different places. So I like big rocks, little rocks, every kind of rocks. We're on the green pathway here. Yeah, so I have so many statues. I need to relax, and when a lot of people to manage stress in their life, which is one of the pillars that you better have under control, or you're going to get sick. A lot of people do things like yoga, which I do, and they write. You know, that's a good way to stay healthy and get rid of stress is to write stuff down. There's lots of different meditate. So I buy statues, all kinds of statues, and I like to be in my yard, and it helps me manage stress. Also, I have like here's something you might find interesting. These rocks here that are hanging from this lobster piece of a lobster cage. When I was down on the east coast of Canada, I went to a beach and I found all kinds of petrified wood. So that's a piece of petrified wood, and they're all petrified wood. This is actually wood from a long, long time ago. The tree turned into rock, and I found some of this on the beach, and then I found some lobster trap pieces, and I thought, oh, I'll hang it from the tree. I like that kind of stuff. There's another little thing here over here too. Um, I don't know if this art runs in my family. I think yes, it does. But my sister made these, and she lives on a farm up north, and she calls it Plantation 1313. So she gave me this as a birthday present. It says 1313 on it. It's just a rock hanging from a piece of wire here. And then she made this uh, a sculpture. It's supposed to be a person. So I hung that from the tree too. I have, of course, solar lights. I keep the yard lit at night with solar lights. I like doing that. When I buy mulch, every year, not every year, but some years I just go to the dump. We have a local dump, and you can get free mulch, but it's pretty crappy looking. It does the trick. It covers up the property so you don't get too many weeds. But anyway, this mulch here, this is hemlock. So you can buy cedar mulch, you can buy pine mulch, and you can buy hemlock mulch around here. Hemlock mulch comes from a hemlock tree. Anyway, ants don't like hemlock, so I put hemlock mulch down. It keeps the ants under control. If you buy the other stuff, you might have a lot of ants. I have bird baths everywhere. This is one of my favorite bushes, a smoke bush. I recommend you can get different colored smoke bushes. You don't have to water them. You don't have to do anything to them, and they grow really easily. And they're not invasive either. They don't spread. So if you're going to make a hedge or something, so you want privacy for better health, you might want to use a smoke bush, or you might want to use a spirea. This one's just lost its white flowers. They flower early in the spring, and they get really big really quickly, and they make a great hedge too. So if you had a whole lot of spirea along this fence here. You could have privacy from the neighbors over there. Yeah. So anyway, so then as we move through the yard here, so flowers of every kind. These are peonies, and by the way, I should mention that as I get older, I can't remember quite as well. So I've got stakes, which I these are just pieces of wood. I label all of my plants. So when I go, hey, what was that again? Well, that's the Siberian bug loss perennial. Okay, and this one here is another type of a spirea. Notice it's flowering different than the white one down there. Um, all of this for health, by the way. It makes me feel good. This is my water station. I collect rainwater. Um, I can water all my plants with rainwater. Does it take longer? Yes. You might have noticed I have hoses though. Now, where did I get the hoses? Well, people are throwing out their hoses. I don't know why they do that. Maybe they get old and they move into an apartment and they don't want a hose anymore. So I go to garage sales, look for hoses, buy hoses. And then if I get really, really lazy or I run out of rainwater, I start using my hoses. But I try to conserve water every chance I get. And if I didn't want to, I'm reminded by my wife, she is more of a health environmental freak than I am. Yeah, so I have hanging baskets with perennials in them and all kinds of. This is a quince bush, by the way. I've had that one now for about 20 years. It grows very, very slowly, and it managed to get that big. And it has berries on it. You can eat the berries, and they're very good for your health. Okay, so but it's funny because I had the quince over here somewhere in the yard, and I wanted to rearrange things. I'm always rearranging things, and I dug it up, but I made sure I got all the roots. And my wife said, "Oh, you've killed it." I said, "No, no, I haven't killed it. I dug it up properly. Like I value the life of plants too." So it's growing, and it's been moved about 2 years ago. I moved it. Look at it; it's doing great, and it loves it there. Quince. So yeah, and I like speaking of managing stress and stuff. I like Japanese and or Oriental kind of gardens where they have like pea gravel everywhere, and then maybe a rock sitting there, and they rake it and this kind of stuff. It really relaxes me. Um, you can tell I'm a little stressed, a little hyper, but I talk very quickly. So anyway, so I thought I'm going to use pea gravel around the back here. I won't have to have so much grass. So and the rocks that you see, all the big boulders here, I lugged those home in my truck. I was out driving somewhere, even all across Canada. Wherever I was, I saw a rock, and if it didn't belong to anybody, I brought it home. I baby the rocks like I baby the plants. So yeah, these are boulders that I brought. I never paid for any of them. Shop always at a thrift store. In fact, I'm going to go to one later today and look for some other interesting things. So I have a lot of Buddhas in the yard. And this one here, by the way, that's sitting on the flat rock, um, remember, if I don't have to pay top dollar for these things, I get them secondhand because people put them at the side of the road when they're cleaning out their, spring cleaning or something, and they don't want them anymore, and there's something wrong with them. That one has a broken neck. So it's not going to fall over. And I've tried to, fix it a little bit with some crazy glue, but it's broken neck. But my wife said, why don't we just throw it out? And I thought, no, 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 no. I like it the way it is. But Buddhism is a religion. I'm not, quote, religious. Do I believe in God? Not the traditional God, but I do believe in something out there. And so um, the people that are Buddhists, like there's a lot of Buddhists in India and such, um, they believe in we're a whole thing. We're an entity. We're Earth and all the living things and non-living things on the planet, and we're floating around in this solar system, which is part of a universe, etc. That gets bigger and bigger and bigger. But we're like a thing, a family. So that's the way they think. You don't need a church to pray or to feel good. You just need a special spot. So my garden is my special spot. Anyway, so I have a lot of Buddhists around. They remind me of that. I can come out here and read a book or paint a picture or just sit and enjoy nature and just look at the Buddha and I relax. Takes my stress down. But what I wanted to tell you is though that these plants in this area here are all house plants. They're tropical. They don't like cold. We have winter here from November to sometimes April. I mean, cold weather. So these are all house plants, and we bring them out of the house. We put them in the shade. We know exactly whether they need partial shade, full sun, or whatever. But these need they're in the shade, and they love it here. Um, this is a purple heart. I mean, you just check it, and make sure it's got enough water, and everything's cool. Nor, this is a Norfolk pine. I've had that for 25 years. It grows very slowly here because it's in a pot, but it's as healthy as can be. By the way, all the mulch in this area here, I go to the local waste management site or the dump in our town, and they throw away stuff like this, and even the soil came from there. So I save money that way and more bird baths. But I want to show you the Buddha over here. We got quite a nice one. And by the way, this grassy area here used to be dirt, like in recent times, because I had a vegetable garden here. The problem was that the trees and the shrubs and the bushes and everything else got bigger and bigger and bigger, and the awning and everything's blocking out the sun, so the vegetables need sun most of the day to really do well. So I put some clover and grass seed in here, and I thought, oh, I'll put my vegetables in pots. So, for example, these are beets. They're not doing too well in here because they're in here, but at least they're growing, and it makes me feel good. I've got a few vegetables, but they look pretty sick. I'm gonna have to get them out of there and put them in the ground somewhere. But I thought, hey, and there's of course this is a metal container and it's got holes in the bottom so that when it rains, it's not going to soak them and drown the roots. But anyway, I got some pots here and some. This is a pumpkin. Of course, I'm going to take the plant out and plant it someplace so it can really grow and spread around. But I'll have pumpkins in there. I've got some peas growing here and some parsley and some basil, and I got some mint over there, and I got some dill in that one container. But there's my Buddha. That's my prize. I love plants, obviously, and they make me healthier. For lots, I even take supplements, and all the supplements, of course, are made from plants. For example, most of the supplements that I take come from plants from the Amazon jungle in South America, and that's so important to me. So my wife and I, a few years back, went to the Amazon jungle in northern Peru, South America, and lived there for a month. So we were in heaven, and I said to the man that was where we were, "Can you show me 100 different plants that are used for medicines around the world?" And he did. I should mention I have a white birch tree over there, big white barked birch tree. You make ibuprofen, aspirin. You make that out of birch trees. You should get some birch tree tea and drink that. It's good for your system. It reduces inflammation. In the neighborhood I happen to live in, you're not allowed to have an old-fashioned clothesline in your backyard. How ridiculous! So that means you got to dry your clothes in a dryer. You got to use more electricity or whatever you use to power up your house. Crazy. So we thought, well, I wonder if we could get away with this kind of a clothesline. So about 25, 26 years ago, we bought this clothesline, and it it's it works perfectly. It's easy to put up and easy to take down. Just lift it out and slide the pole down and put it away for the winter. Um, I just dug a hole and stuck the thing in the. There it goes, clothesline. We dry all our clothes on the clothesline. You can even dry your clothes in the winter on the clothesline. Yeah. What is it? Transpiration, or when the when the solid, the frozen ice on your clothes or whatever it is, turns to gas. I don't know what that's called. Anyway, but there's a clothesline. We're the only one with a clothesline in this whole friggin' neighborhood. Used to hell. By the way, this is a these ferns are ostrich ferns because the leaves are supposed to resemble ostrich feathers. But when they first grow in the springtime, up about about a foot high, the tops start to curl a little bit, and that's called a fiddlehead. And you can cut the tops off and eat those. They're very healthy for you. And then eventually they get bigger and bigger and bigger. Now there must be 300 ferns in this little patch of my yard. Look at the size of them. Do I water them? I don't have to water a fern. No. Do they like it where they are? Oh yes, they like the trees protect them. So the trees keep the ferns healthy. So the trees keep me healthy too. Remember, trees breathe in carbon dioxide. We blow out carbon dioxide as waste. Trees breathe it in and they blow out oxygen. So wherever you've got a tree, you've got lots of oxygen coming your way. That's why when you go walking in your neighborhood, try to go through a pathway or some kind of a green space. They call that what do they call it? Forest bathing. So anyway, so I do a lot of that too, ride my bike and everything else. But yeah, so what happened was my sister, the one who lives on Plantation 1313 up north in the bush, she gave me a few ferns, just a few. So I planted them around my yard. The next thing you know, I got ferns growing everywhere. So they multiply. I don't have to do anything. They just keep multiplying. So I thought I'm not gonna let them do that artistically, and I just want to keep them together. So I started putting them in this spot here, and this is only like 2 months. Um, at the end of the season, around November, they start to wilt and turn brown and then fall down. And so I snip them off there. You can see the little bulb, right? I snip them off at the bulb there. And then for the winter, they sit there and nothing happens, nothing. And then in the springtime, April, May, when it starts to warm up and the frost goes away, they start to grow. I've never had them this big, and I haven't done anything to them differently. And my cat, I have a cat because the cat makes me healthy, calms me down. I'm connected to nature when I'm connected to an actual animal. I have fish in the house and all that too. But anyway, the cat likes to hide in there. It's shady and it cools down the space I'm in. I just wanted to show you down here one more thing. Another Buddha there, a couple more. So where that driftwood is there, and by the way, that's all. You can go to a garden center and buy driftwood, and it'll cost you hundreds of dollars for one piece. Or you can go looking for it out in nature, and as long as it's not private property, you can get a piece. And so I collected a few pieces and put them together. But that used to be my compost pit. So I eat a lot of fruit and vegetables. I bring the scraps out here and dump them in there and mix it in with the soil. And then I use that soil to feed all the plants in my yard. Well, wouldn't you know, um, the neighbors complained. Why? Because the skunks and the raccoons and the possums that live in our neighborhood with us, for example, the raccoons live in the sewer just out in front of the house. Anyway, they loved it. They came every night and ate the scraps, or some of them. This was like their place to come and get food. Like humans have taken away all of their spot, their places to live. So now they have to live with us. So why not feed them? So I was doing that, but I was also using the dirt after the fruit and vegetables broke down and turned into dirt to feed my plants. So the neighbors didn't like the raccoons. They didn't like the skunks. Yeah. Why are you doing that? So okay. So I got rid of it. I put the driftwood there, and I put the scraps into a green bin, and I take it out for the recycling people every Monday, and they take it to the dump, and they throw it in a big pile there along with everybody else's scraps, and then they give away the dirt, and you can get the dirt back free. I mean, it's a little bit of running around, but I think everybody should have something like that in their yard if they have a yard. That's pretty much it for my outside space. Well, today it happens to be, we're in June, late June, and it happens to be, right now it's about 25 degrees Celsius, and it's going to go up to 35, and it's going to stay that way for a week. And we have an air conditioning system, which we rarely use because it costs money, and we're trying to save the environment. So we're not using the air conditioner. The air conditioner, we purchased it years ago when we weren't quite as smart. But yes, we do have fans in the house. I must have about 4 or 5 of them. But I wanted you to know that the doors and the screens and the glass in this house are all tinted. Um, I wasn't that smart when we bought the house 37 years ago, but somebody was. So, you know, I don't know whether it was my wife or I don't know who it was, but anyway, we ended up with tinted everything. So, but we like to keep the doors and the windows open whenever we can. So if you went through the house, you'll notice they're all open. But today we might have to shut them all and turn on the air conditioner because we have some animals here today, a couple of dogs, or one dog and a cat. So I don't know. I don't know what we'll do about that. But anyway, but I want you to notice that there's lots of steps. This is a raised ranch. So there's steps going down to the lower level. Okay, so this is my garage. By the way, automobiles, gas, you know, the fight around the world for oil and Saudi Arabia versus the United States and the tar sands in Western Canada. It just goes on and on and on, and how that is shortening the life of our planet and everything on it. And we got to use the natural powers like solar power and water power. We got wind power. So anyway, do I have enough money, or do I want to buy an electric car? Probably, but at my age, where I'm at and what's going on, I've decided I'll just stick with the smallest, most reliable little car I can. So my wife researched this, and we ended up buying a Fit, F-I-T. It's a Honda, and the thing I like about this Fit here, is that it has more room in it than every car I've ever been in, no matter if it's a Tesla or what it is, a big truck. The Fit has the most room. And I don't know what it is about that, because if you look inside the thing, the seats move up and down, back and forth, and the back, it just has more space in there. But here's the good thing. The good thing is that all the seats, that's a hatchback, all the seats flatten out. All of them, the front seats, the back seats, everything flattens out. So you could take this camping and just flatten the seats out, and you got a great big giant king size bed in there. Lots of room for storage. But when I ride in other people's cars, in the back seat of their cars, I'm always squished. Not with this one. And I can drive a long way on a tank of gas with this car. I also have a truck over there, but I bought the truck from the neighbor who was sick and about to die, and his wife wanted me to buy the truck. So I bought it at a really good price, and I used the truck to do garden work for people. So I do landscaping for people, and I have to haul around things like lawnmowers. So I bought the truck, and I also like to recycle. So I'm always taking things to the dump and picking up things from thrift stores and stuff. So the truck comes in handy, but I don't use it as much because it takes a lot of gas. And I don't like the idea of poisoning everybody, including myself, with bad air. So anyway, I have bikes. There's only 2 of us, my wife and I, and then my son. And now I've got a daughter and I got grandchildren, and everybody in our family likes to exercise. My son-in-law is a surgeon. He knows exactly, and my wife owns a gym, or my daughter owns a gym, so they know the importance of exercise. And so I, I don't know if it came from us. I don't know where it came from, why we all do this, but we bike a lot, all of us. So my son likes this one. Of course, this bike is about close to 30 years old. It used to be my wife's bike when she biked back and forth to her work. She was a school teacher living across town. We got a lot of hills in this town, and she would ride all year round to school and back. And she needed gears to get up the steep hills, so there's gears and stuff on this mountain bike. But now it's my son's. He loves it. And of course, it has a bell on it, you know, some kind of a bell on it. Yeah, there it is. And lights and a mirror. And we got a lock and helmets and all the rest of it. That's his bike. My wife, I bought this bike for her. Now, the reason I bought her this bike here, it's like a, what do they call it? A town bike. It's like for just relaxing and riding around town. But she likes to go up and down steep hills. She likes to ride around on her bike for 2 or 3 hours every day whenever she can. So she needed a bike like this for this reason. When you sit on this bike, your posture is the closest you can get to the best seated posture. Your spine is in a healthy position. A lot of people on these other bikes are bent over like this. I mean, maybe they can go faster. I don't know. All I can tell you is it's not good for your spine. So my wife thought, no, I need a bike where I can sit up nice and tall in the best posture possible. So that's hers. And then mine, and by the way, she's got gears and things on hers. But when I went to buy mine, I went to a used bike store. I wanted a bike that reminded me of the bike I had when I was 5. And so this bike has no gears and it has no brakes, fancy brakes. You have to pedal backwards if you want to stop the thing. And so I'm going up and down the same hills that everybody else is going up and down, but I have to work a little harder. And that's because I want to not only enjoy my environment with my bike, and I want to also work my body at the same time. So I get to sit up straight too on this one. Sometimes I have to stand up to go up the steep hills, but they just on their bikes, their fancy bikes, they just switch gears to make it easier. And then I have 3 more bikes over here. Why do I have those? Well, I found them at the roadside. People didn't want them. They were throwing them out. So I thought, oh, I'll take them. So I fixed them up a little bit so they all have all the right things on them. And I just don't have anybody to ride them unless somebody in my family comes and they forget to bring their bike. They can ride one of those. I give them away too. Sometimes I get them in the best shape I can, and then I give them to the neighbors or the kids or whatever. So I got 3 extra bikes there. Um, yeah, we have ice skates. We ice skate in the winter. Sometimes we visit our family in Ottawa and we ice skate on the canal there. It's great. I recommend that. Ottawa is the capital city of Canada. Go there. And we have snowshoes because we like to hike through the nature trails in the deep snow. We use the snowshoes sometimes. In the house, I've got those rubber things with cleats or whatever you slide over your boots so you don't slip on the ice. I've got those too. Uh, yeah, and I do, as you can see, I got a lot of whippersnippers and lawnmowers and snow blowers. There's a snow blower there. I have to have that now. I never used to use a snow blower to shovel the snow in my driveway and up and down in front of my house. But now I have to because the snow is getting more. The environment's changing, and I'm getting older. So just to save my back and everything else, I have a snow blower. I don't want to use it, and I don't if I don't have to. But when it's really deep, I use that. And yeah, and I have a lawnmower. By the way, this is a used lawnmower that's been refixed. Like I have a friend who knows how to fix lawnmowers, so he made it so it runs. I just sort of look at it and it starts. And then we clean it all and make sure it's really clean and lasts a long time. So we cut people's grass for exercise and for a little extra cash. But I have some whippersnippers here too. Got those secondhand, made sure that they worked. Sometimes you have to work with other people, your friends, to get them to help you to do stuff that you don't know how to do. So we do a lot of that, collaborating with people. And yeah, so we recycle. My little recycle stuff is out at the curb now. We use a green bin, blue bin. The green bin is the compost stuff. Nothing gets thrown in the garbage unless the city says you have to put this in the garbage. So this is my garbage pail with very little in it, and they come and get that every 2 weeks. So there's not much garbage. We really do a lot of work at trying to be recyclers in this town. So anyway, up and down the steps. So we have two fireplaces in the house. We used to use wood, but then it got well, there were reasons why we turned to natural gas. So in the wintertime, we keep the furnace off if we can, and we use that kind of. It's just cheaper in the long run. You have to weigh what's going to cost you more, and how are you going to save the environment, and which one's more healthy for your own personal body. So anyway, we have two fireplaces. All the furniture came from a thrift store. It looks like, to most people, would look like, well, I'm not putting that junk in my house. All we want to do is be comfortable. There's Teddy, he's visiting. So we got to make sure the air conditioning is on for Teddy and the cat, which she doesn't like Teddy. She's hiding in another room. Anyway, and then out here in the kitchen, we have uh, get that ant, or whatever it is. I'll put it here in the recycle thing. Yeah, so there's a water purifier underneath the sink here. It's not reverse osmosis. We used to have one of those. We moved up to a laser one, right? What is it called, Sue? Anyway, yeah, it's so it purifies the water the best we can. So anyway, I'm about to have my breakfast, so I'm going to make some oats, and I use my filtered water here, right? And I put it on my fancy stove, and I turn it on, and I add my oats and some kefir for my guts. It's a what is kefir, Sue, again? You made me eat it. It's a bacteria. It's good bacteria that your insides needs to be healthy. So I buy this kefir and I put that in my oats, and I got some frozen blueberries in there. And by the way, it happens to be rhubarb season and outside and strawberry season at the same time. And outside, I don't have any strawberry plants anymore because it needs sun, and I got mostly shade out there. But I do go and pick my own strawberries at the local strawberry pick your own plant up the road. And I do have some rhubarb growing out there, and I have an aunt who gives me rhubarb from her garden. So what I do is I take the rhubarb and the strawberries, mix them together, cook them on the stove until they turn into kind of mush, and I use that on my porridge every day. I love it. It's good for my insides. In the pot, well, that's the soup that I made yesterday. I was making beet soup because I'm part Ukrainian, and I grew up on borscht, which is beet soup. So I make a lot of beet soup in the summertime, and it happens to be summer. But um, I I had to make that because my family's visiting, and one member of my family has a kidney stone problem. And if you eat things like celery, all right. Fresh greens like beets and spinach and Swiss chard and kale. If you eat all that kind of stuff, and things like sweet potatoes are the best kind of carbs if you eat those versus the regular white potatoes, which are good for you too in a funny way. But if you eat those kinds of things and lots of beans and things, you won't have the kidney stones as long as you exercise. You got to exercise. You got to manage stress too, otherwise you're going to have kidney stones. And so anyway, this person's got kidney stones, so I thought I'd make this person some soup. And there it is. We had it yesterday, and we're going to eat the rest today. Yeah, we got a lot of things. We got a lot of healthy stuff going on in our diet. Every meal, in fact, our favorite fish store has a stall at the market, which we go to every week, and we buy this salmon. And we eat a lot of spinach and sweet potatoes, and we have a lot of nuts like almonds and walnuts. And breakfast would be oats with blueberries and some maybe oat milk or almond milk mixed in there, and some bananas and stuff. That would probably be breakfast. We might take a few little pieces of a turkey that maybe I roasted for some protein, or chicken that I made just in the morning for breakfast. Might eat that on the way out to the gym or wherever we're off to. And then at lunch, we might have some soup. Um, we would probably not eat too much though. And then around 4 or 5 o'clock, we would have our main meal. Just because we're old and we're from that time when you had a good breakfast, not so much at lunch, and a good supper, where you should do it the other way around. You should probably have most of your food in the early part of the day, just before you go out and into the world, and you need all that for energy. And then as the day goes along, you eat less, because you want to slow down around 6, 7 o'clock at night, not eat much, because if you want to have a good night's sleep, it's really important to get at least a good 8 hours of sleep a night uninterrupted if you want to live a long time. So if you go to bed at 11, you better stop eating around 5 or 6. Anyway, water's important. So I try to drink more water. I wasn't a water drinker until I realized that it's really important. So I try to drink my 8 glasses of water a day. That's what they say we all need, approximately. Anyway, oh yeah, and for supper though, if we're having any problems, say somebody gives us things to eat that we shouldn't be eating, too many trans fats or too many carbs, not good carbs. Just if they gave you the stuff you shouldn't be eating, and our stomachs and our whole systems feel really not right, then we switch to the top 10 best foods on the planet, and eat those for a few days only, and then we start to feel better again. And I can somehow I can post the list somewhere for you. But if you just went on to the internet and you went on to Google and you typed in top 10 best foods, Mayo Clinic, MAYO, that's that famous hospital in the United States. So top 10 best foods, Mayo Clinic. They'll show you what they are. They'll tell you why they're the best, and you can post a little list of what they are on your fridge, and anytime you forget, you can eat those. So one of them is spinach, one of them is salmon, one of them is sweet potatoes. That makes my supper. And one of them is apples. So I might have something with apples for dessert. And of course, there's lots of really good things that didn't make the list, like garlic and celery and kale, and it goes on and on. Mushrooms, onions, they didn't make the list, but they're close to the top 10. So anyway, so we try to stick with that when it comes to food. Our biggest problem, we never go out to eat at any restaurants anymore. It's just too difficult, because they're adding additives to their food. Even if they're giving you, say, some salmon or some spinach or something, they would add additives to that, so that maybe something that would there's something called what's it called? I forget. Anyway, but there's a lot of additives that the restaurants and anything that's commercial are putting in your food, even if it's healthy, to keep it the shelf life longer, and keep it fresher longer, even though it's not good for you. So food's important, but we have to go to the why, because I'm as I said, 78, but I've been teaching fitness at the Y, every kind of fitness too, weights and aerobics and Zumba and all the fitness that they dream up at the YMCA. I teach that there, and I've been doing it now just for about 27 years. And I teach a class every Friday, and my wife used to teach, my daughter used to teach, my son-in-law used to teach. They all used to do that, but I'm the one still doing it. And we go to the Y, as I said, 6 days a week, and we do the necessary. We do aerobics. We always warm up of some sort. We do aerobics. We do resistance training with weights. We do lots of different things with strength. We do yoga. We do things like Tai Chi at the Y. We cool down. We meditate. We do all that in our workouts. We are really up on what you're supposed to. We do a lot of research, so we want the latest and the greatest information about health. I have a YouTube channel. If you want to look me up, I'm Silver Fox, all one word, because my last name is Fox. Silver Fox, silver hair, Fox, Space Fitness on YouTube. You can look me up. I have a channel there. I post videos 2 or 3 a week. I like to appeal to beginners and or seniors. So you'll get a lot of good stuff on there. And I make sure that whatever goes on there is the best information I can possibly find. I'm lucky to have a doctor in my family, so I can ask him, are you sure this stuff that they're telling me about on the internet is stuff that I should promote to others? Yes, it's okay, but make sure you do it the right way and blah, blah, blah. Yeah, all the plants are outside. Took them all outside. Usually there's about 25 or 30 of them that live in the house with us. Um, yeah, there's art on every wall. That's the statue of David, of course, made out of plastic. The real one's made out of marble, and it sits inside the Uffizi Gallery in Florence, Italy, if you ever want to go and have a look at it. And it's probably the most famous piece of art on the planet, done by Michelangelo. Anyway, I just was over there visiting the art gallery in Florence, and thought I gotta have that. So my wife bought me that for my birthday. So it sits in here. I was going to put that on the front lawn, but I thought maybe that might not, the neighbors might not like that. So it's in here. And yeah, that's about it for the house, I guess.